Well, the Dain quest was, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, you know, it could have been better, it could have been worse. Yeah, that applies to like 99% of life. But I mean, maybe how long, you know, we waited led some people to feel some type of way. Regardless, I did like the Sinner reveal, even if I was wrong. Hey, that's not an unfamiliar feeling. Learning of the 5 sinners of Khaenriah, who are now transcendent beings and have world-shattering power, however, was so vindicating to hear, however. The 5 sinners of Khaenriah, ones who betrayed not only their nation, but the entire world. People, oh, why does Celestia have to put down Khaenriah? This is why, my friends, these 5 bastards who tried to ruin everything couldn't refuse the call of the Abyss, and so when they had no god above to stop them like we saw in Mondstadt with Barbados, in Rumeria with Remus, Celestia had to be the ones to step up to put them down, our beloved sustainer of heavenly principles. In the primordial one, a progenitor god hailed from beyond the stars had to step in and make the decision. You can blame those 5 sinners moving forward. I mean, look, Dain, he called them, it wasn't Celestia, Dain called them sinners. He looked us dead in our face and said, they are sinners. This is what they did. I rest my case, Your Honor. The Loom of Fate has been completed. You know, that was like, what, 2-3 years in the making, so it's nice to see things progressing along. Now, with that said, there were certainly some moments throughout the quest that had me convinced the writing team was smoking crack. I mean, dude, some of the stuff was just inexcusable. When we met Caribert, the Traveler says this, quote, "This is a rare opportunity for me as well. I should try to learn as much as possible from Caribert as I can." But then moments later, when the Traveler gets a conversation with their sibling, all of a sudden, they've lost their inquisitive nature. They literally say, they look the player dead in their fucking eyes and go, I don't want to ask any questions. I mean, buddy. Come on, buddy. That's gotta be the stupidest way to prevent everything from being revealed to us since the fucking Dottore gun that put everyone to sleep except for him and Nahida. I mean, dude, at that point, just black screen us. It'd probably be better. And then what was perhaps a sin of equal weights, they don't even show us the fight between the sibling and Dain. We don't even get a post-fight interview with Dain. This is literally the last time we get to see him. After that, it's just, you know, see you in 2025, I guess. Anyway, let's just recap. The story starts with us at the Sumeru branch of the Adventurers Guild, whose reputation is apparently at stake because of a certain commission no one has been able to solve yet. The commission is a simple one. Find a missing person, a villager, out of Vimara village. The added layer of difficulty arises when Catherine reveals to us that despite the village being a close-knit community, none of the villagers know the missing person's name and can only provide vague details about the truant. Yet, they all swear this person is missing. When we finally arrive to the village, we question the first villager we spot, Ba Ram. We ask Ba Ram about the name, appearance, home, relatives of the missing person, but he once again states he knows none of those things. But he does say that both he and everyone in the village, despite not remembering specifics about the missing person, all had a strong impression of him. He was a young guy in his early 20s, was a kind soul always helping people, a genuine and pure person. The reason the village put out the commission is because they genuinely love the man and are concerned now that he's gone missing. We meet with the chief here, who tells us he knows nothing about the man's appearance, but he once again speaks about the man's nature. The man's parents were never spotted in the village, yet despite this, he was never lonely because he offered to be everyone's friends, and naturally, it seems like everyone reciprocated. He took care of the boomers and played with the orphans. Hey, take notes, Arla, fucking snatch your kids for the Saritsa. When we discuss our findings in private, we begin to suspect the missing person either only exists in people's memories or was erased from history. Thank you, Irminsul. A lady named Atosa then approaches us and extends to us her desire to have the villager return to them by taking us to a tree. It's at this tree both she and the man would spend hours at a time talking about all manner of things, and she really misses him. Ain't that sweet. We get a small clue about the man when Atosa recalled that she learned in conversation with the man that he ominously stated his parents aren't here anymore. We then take note of the beautiful sunsets, and Atosa remarks that the sun would be in the same position for hours at a time when they spoke. The Traveler clues in on this fact, but before we learn what's going on, we take note of some hilichurls who are vibing in an odd manner. On a cliff, we spot an abyss mage, and after a brief battle, Atosa tells us that recently, the hilichurls have become a lot more feral, displaying more aggressive behavior than usual. While walking back to the village, we by chance run into Dainsleif, who had just taken down some abyss mages. He tells us something is indeed odd with this place and suspects the Abyss Order is involved. We finally press Dain on the answer to what at this point has been a year-long question: who is the sinner? Expecting to immediately hear a name, Dain instead asks us if we think our twin to have betrayed us. We just go, maybe? Dain then emphasizes that despite our current differences, the damage done between us is still minimal and there's still hope for the twins to reconcile. Dain then connects this to the sinner, stating he and the other sinners have long since betrayed him and their nation. Dain then tells us the sinner is the visionary Vedalfnir. Was also Dain's older brother. Dain continues stating there were 5 sinners of Khaenriah.
The wise Roptatir, the visionary Vedalfnir, Gold Rhindaughter, the foul Sertologi, and Rehir of Solnari, Rerir. No matter how eroded my memory may become, I will never forget their names. One day, I shall have my vengeance.
I mean, but do the heavenly principles ever miss? Do the heavenly principles ever miss, fellas? They never miss. We gotta continue. That was kind of cold at my nigga Dain, though. Yeah. Get your vengeance, boy. Get your lick back, my nigga. We go over the sinners we knew, and the reason that Vedalfnir was the one who outlined Fontaine's prophecy. Dain says those sinners were the best of the best in Khaenriah, and that the 6 of them should have stopped the disaster that struck. Obviously, he's including himself. They should have stopped King Ermin from continuing to seek forbidden knowledge, crack for dragons. But those 5 couldn't refuse the call of the Abyss. I mean, dude, but have we not been saying this? Have we not been saying Khaenriah was doing fine until they went fucking rogue? The 5 divided amongst themselves the power that could shatter the world, and in turn became transcendent beings. Despite this, when the cataclysm struck, none defended Khaenriah, and so they are now all on Dain's kill list. Dain then says that if we don't stop the partnership between our sibling and his sibling, they will betray the world. Dain then says that since we last saw him, he's been continuing to investigate the Loom of Fates, and even now wants to continue investigating the Loom of Fates. It'll be interesting to see where these future Dain quests go with no Loom of Fates. Dain thinks the Loom of Fates is related to the ley lines. Us being able to view our siblings' memories was because the ley lines were unstable, so Dain reasons that because Abyss Order activity is followed by issues with ley lines, the Loom of Fates could be related to them. Because the other thing that flows through ley lines are memories, we begin to get a greater understanding of what's happening to the missing person in Vimara village, who only exists in people's memories. However, we decide to call it a night there and pick up where we left off in the morning. The next morning, we go off to find Dain, who's off staring into the distance. He's the 1,000-yard stare, I believe is what they call it. And when we approach him, he seems off. He asks us to describe the missing person to him and then confesses that somehow memories have creeped into his mind, and he now has memories of the missing person. Dain then states the memory that he's now gained is that of himself handing this person the eye of the first field tiller. Dain surmises this to be impossible and instead reasons this missing person is someone who has the ability to implant memories into people's minds, and so the same must have happened to the people of Vimara village. However, an even bigger realization emerges from this, and it's that the Abyss Order is still searching for the eye of the first field tiller even to this day. Dain is the only person who knows where the eye is, but because we cannot definitively state whether the memory of him handing the eye off to that person was real or not, we need to go check to see if the eye is where it should be. Dain takes us to the location, but right before we head in, he tells us to wait, grimaces in pain, and then oddly just tells us we can head in now. We make it to an altar before a herald interrupts us, confirming our suspicions this whole thing was a trap in order to get Dain to lead them to the eye of the first field tiller. Just before he's seemingly about to check on the eye, he once again hollers in pain, attributes it to the ley line tampering, and then orders us to leave him behind. But He says once we return to the village, we should now be able to find the missing villager. We head off and Dain is alone for about a moment before suddenly, the sibiling appears. Dain states he wanted to meet face to face with them and falling into their trap was a surefire way to do that. But then the sibiling counters by going, haha, but no, I've fallen into your trap. The sibiling says the only way they can talk is if they fight. Dain then goes from puppy eyes to Game 6 LeBron eyes, and then right as they're about to engage in the fight of the century, we cut to a black screen. Because why the fuck not, my nigga? We switch back to the traveler who made it to Vimara village and instantly noticed the hilichurls who are all acting calm, cool, and collected. We hear a voice speak of some fable, and we wonder if this person's story is comforting the hilichurls. With the hilichurls in the area sort of just vibing a peaceful vibe, we head to the village where we ask if there's been any updates to the missing villager, and the chief acts surprised, stating he's not aware of any missing villager, but because the chief is 1,000 years old and dementia is a bitch, we decide to check in with other people to see if they too have forgotten about the missing villager, to which they also have. However, when we begin to describe this person to Bahram, he suddenly knows who we're speaking of, but says he isn't missing, but he just left the village a moment ago with another person. We LA Noir this shit and eventually reason that we are currently in Atosa's memory, brought about by a leyline disturbance, and so thus, we head to the tree she spoke of earlier, where we see Atosa speaking with the most handsome NPC in all of Teyvat. His khaenriah clothing and star eyes give away his nationality, but as for his identity, once we spot the bandana around his arm, we realize the person before us is Caribert Albert. Caribert gives a farewell message to Atosa before sending us to his realm of consciousness. Paimon, interestingly, not allowed. The ever-inquisitive traveler decides to try and learn as much as possible from Caribert. Ever-inquisitive, let's keep note of that, guys. Caribert reveals he never actually became the Loom of Fates, but rather was just used as a starting point for its construction and died when it all began. All that stands before us now is but a small piece of his consciousness within the Loom of Fate, and it's for this reason he only exists in people's memories. He's long since died. Caribert then reveals that the Loom of Fate is a device that weaves ley lines. At its base form, it can implant memories, but once completed, it can create entire ley lines. Once the Loom of Fate is completed and gains the ability to weave these ley lines which can change the world, it loses the ability to implant memories within individuals. Caribert was only able to use half the completed Loom of Fate to influence people's memories. We understand why Caribert implanted memories into Dain's mind, showcasing Dain handing him the eye of the first field tiller, but aren't sure why he also gave memories to the people of Vimara village, for which Caribert apologizes for. He states he just wanted to exist in the real world and leave a good impression on people in a quiet village. Caribert never grew to be an adult. He died as a kid, and the version that stands before us now is how he thinks he would have turned out had he been able to grow up. We decided we need to cut the conversation short because we left Dain behind and he may need our help, but Caribert says, rest assured, things are done on Dain's end. He states because he only exists in people's memories and we are talking with him right now, the Loom of Fate has already been completed. He states Dain is physically fine, and the only reason Dain lost is because Dain's plan failed, was because Caribert realized the eye of the first field tiller was in Dain's body, somehow. Dain wanted to lure the Abyss Order to a location, hand the eye of the tiller to us, have us leave with it, and then confront the sibling on his own. This obviously never happened because we never got the eye, and we never got it because Dain thought he gave it to us, because Caribert implanted a false memory of Dain handing us the eye of the first field tiller right before we entered the ruins, hence this scene. Caribert tells us he has no clue what our sibling is going to do with that device, but tells us that while ley lines are deeply rooted in the earth, creating new ones cannot replace the old ones. As for Caribert, however, he completed his goal, which was to give some peace of mind to hilichurls, with a story, a fairy tale, as a matter of fact, similar to how his father had done to him. However, with his goal done, his consciousness will now dissipate, given there's nothing keeping him here anymore.
Looks like I was too late to see Caribert one last time. Caribert's consciousness is gone, and this space will soon disappear along with it. Neither of us belongs here. That's why we're not tangible. Were that not the case, I'd love to hug you too. Well, how about a conversation?
In this scam of a conversation with our twin, they tell us the fight with Dain was a difficult one, and if Dain didn't hesitate to raise his sword against them, they still probably would have lost even after 500 years. Ah, fuck me, bro. We ask them what they're gonna do with the Loom of Fate, and they say they don't fucking know. But tell us there's still time to figure it out before the heavenly principles awaken. The sibiling comments on Focalor destroying the throne with no response at a Celestia as proof of this. However, they finish this thought off by stating the heavenly principles will soon awaken. But as for when or why, no one knows. But you can be damn sure. We're all waiting for this opportunity. They then go on a tangent about Caribert asking us who deprived him of the right to exist, to which the answer is you, nigga! Y'all killed him as a child for your plans! But maybe you have a different definition of deprive the right to fucking live. The siblings then speaks, and the traveler looks the player dead in our fucking eyes and says they won't ask any questions. But asks one, which is why they can't continue their journey anymore. The sibling then says that at the end of their journey, they arrived at the Sea of Flowers at the end. When the twins used to bounce between different worlds, the traveler once stated they wanted to find a place in the universe where that flower was abundant, and for that place to appear in this world must be more than a coincidence. Honestly, I thought this was a nice touch. It seems like they're implying this is going to be the traveler's new home, and it can help explain why the sibling is fighting so fucking hard. They can't meet right now, however, because the sibling can't even face themselves, let alone their twin. Suddenly, the world starts shaking, and the sibling tells us this space has lost its tether, and so now it's going to go away. And with Caribert gone, they won't be able to remember what's happened in this realm, including their reunion, because I cannot fathom why this was done. Anyway, we wake back up in the village. Apparently, when Caribert did his little fucking mind jutsu, we passed out, and when villagers came across us, they took us back to the village. Right before we woke up, Dain came to check on us and then swiftly departed. Paimon asks us what's happened, and we tell her about our conversation with Caribert, which I can only surmise we remember because Caribert hadn't disappeared yet. But when she asks us what happens next, we don't remember. The villagers apparently got word that the missing man just up and left the village, and so they called off the search, content with this ending, hoping and wishing the best for him. They all remembered his name, and it was Caribert. Atosa is convinced she got dumped, but holds out hope that one day Caribert will be back. When we try once again to recall why there's a gap in our memories, we find an impossible picture in our pocket showcasing the Three Musketeers. And that's the quest. I mean, it's a wholesome quest, if nothing else. Caribert's story is seemingly wrapped up. I think this quest felt more like an epilogue to the whole Caribert saga than, an Archon quest. But I liked Caribert and thought the picture was a nice touch, so all is forgiven. And Caribert is the hottest fuck. I'm not gay, but dude.